Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Alpha Centauri Let's Play. This is Northstar. I hope you folks are well. For those new to my series, check this out from the beginning. This is organized into a playlist. New to my channel, welcome. Briefly, I'm disabled with long COVID. Excuse me, so I don't always think the quickest, but I do my best to make this entertaining for you guys. And sometimes I give you, bits of historical insight, commentary, half-baked jokes. I'm not great as a comedian, to say the least, but, try and keep it entertaining where I can. Today, as I prepare for war with the fascist Spartans, and they are fascists, their leader is even Colonel Corazon Santiago. I would like to note Santiago, the capital city and largest city of Chile. This is a clear allusion to Pinochet and the fascists who took over Chile from the democratically elected legitimate government of Salvador Allende in 1973. And of course, the Spartans also assassinated Captain Garland on board the Unity. They smuggled themselves onto the ship. Santiago, being the security officer of the ship, was pivotal in getting a lot of people legally on the ship, far-right survivalists. And then they woke up before the rest of the crew. They worked with some other groups to assassinate Captain Garland, to seize one of the escape pods, and coming to planet find the Spartans, which, if you read any of the fiction about them, or any of the books by the any of the official stuff, official backstory, any of the books by the devs, it's very clear, beyond any reasonable doubt, they are fascists. So as I sit here, listen to this ambience, which, by the way, changes based on where you are on the map, supposedly. I thought I would read something, because if Previn Law, the leader of my faction, the ship's doctor, a Pakistani physician who treated interesting, the background there is what looks to be water, who treated the victims of a nuclear war between India and Pakistan at some point in the late 21st or early 22nd century, about the same time that the United States ends up in a civil war with the Christian states of America taking power, which Miriam was involved in. His sympathies are profoundly towards the silenced, the dispossessed, the voiceless. By the way, as the Americans learn so painfully, he directly talks about the Civil War in the United States. He says Civil War in the United States. He says it was Earth's final century, so I'm not clear if that's the 100 years between 2060 and 2160 when the Uni launches, or if that's referring to 2100 to 2060, the last 60 years. Either way, that's when, canonically in the game, the United States has Christo-fascist takeover. But as for the very traditional US-backed fascists of Chile who took over from a legitimately elected Marxist government, which Richard Nixon, yes, that fucker, considered to be a threat because it showed that Marxists could win power by election and not just by revolution, and give ideas to Latin America. And then he couldn't delegitimize the government, say they violently took power, or they struck, or they had strikes until the government caved. No, they did electoral campaign. They won via the parliamentary system of Chile. They won a plurality of the votes, a little more than a third of the votes, and as the largest party, no coalition government was able to form against them, and so they worked with other two parties to do things like nationalize Chile's copper reserves, and the foreign companies in Chile, which were compensated, but they were, if they'd made super profits, if they'd been making profits over 12% in previous years, they were dinged for that and the compensation I received. So there were two large U.S.-owned firms that had been horrendously oppressing workers, making as much as 200% annual profits some years, whereas the other copper mining companies all made much more reasonable profits of 10%, 11, 12. So it was targeted at these two big U.S.-owned firms that had supported fascist regimes throughout Latin America and worked with the CIA and the U.S. government to that effect. But anyways, regardless of the role of the U.S. corporations, the CIA, and Nixon in that coup, law gives voice to the dispossessed. So I want to read a little bit from the final speech of Salvador Allende, the president of Chile. Surely, Radio Magellanes will be silenced, and the calm metal instrument of my voice will no longer reach you. It does not matter. You will continue hearing it. I will always be next to you. At least my memory will be that of a man of dignity who is loyal to the workers. The people must defend themselves, but they must not sacrifice themselves. The people must not let themselves be destroyed or riddled with bullets, but they cannot be humiliated either. Workers of my country, I have faith in Chile and its destiny. Other men will overcome this dark and bitter moment when treason seeks to prevail. Go forward knowing that, sooner rather than later, the great avenues will open again, where free men will walk to build a better society. Long live Chile, long live the people, long live the workers. These are my final words, and I am certain my sacrifice will not be in vain. I am certain that at the very least it will be a moral lesson that will punish felony, cowardice, and treason from Santiago, Chile, September 11th, 1973. That was the day of the U.S.-backed coup by against Allende, by Augusto Pinochet, Admiral Marino, and anyways, fascist factions within Chile. And I thought it was interesting, important to read, to honor that legacy. I'm sure it's a legacy that law might actually honor. There's a much longer speech that Allende gave before the United Nations in 1972. He very much believed in international law and the UN and its mission. And I think he's somebody that law would have wanted to honor the memory of, as soon the Peacekeepers go to war against these vile fascist Spartans who have seized, as I said, one of the colony pods when the Unity broke up, and they control all the way down to Cape Storm here. That's what this is, Cape Storm, which is a reference to like the Cape at the south point of South America, controlled by Argentina and Chile. Sorry. By the way, also, this river system, this doesn't exist on the Saturn map. The Spartans must have come across hydrology pods. I just wanted to note they have an especially strong start, but it seems they put nearly all of their efforts into training vast numbers of infantry, heavily armed infantry. Not well armored, though. It's worth noting this is actually a smart move. I mean, the AI isn't perfect, but it's smarter than it seems, and they have other bases. It's not like they've choked all their production everywhere. But the ones on the border have focused on military units. It might have been smart to emphasize impact rovers a little more, but if they were to attack a base, and I think the idea is a threat, the Spartans are not necessarily conquerors, always so much as survivalists who aim to bully and intimidate, and they hope they can keep a large military and just threaten factions like mine into subservience without having to actually go to war. Into giving them technology, money, bases even. I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, the AI doesn't play perfectly for a conquest victory or a diplomatic victory, whatever. You gotta remember there's supposed to be a story, a certain amount of role play to these games. Never like people who want everything to be an alpha strategy, a single way of playing the game. It's why I'm irritated with, where's the artifact? Oh, is it here? Yeah. Actually, the rover can scout ahead. All clear. Cool. I certainly don't need to double protect here. So boom. Keeping an eye for mineworms in this fungus. It's probably one of the most likely places for some to show up, aside from down here. These will probably eventually go to the river system and patrol it too once the rover's put away. This recon rover's gotta stay with that one. It's preparing for another turn. So, yeah, it's why I don't like people who bitch about supply crawlers, even though this is supposed to be the future. The future. It's not supposed to be just a bunch of farmers hardscrubbing the land. Industrial automation, and indeed human labor becoming increasingly irrelevant, are features, things that are happening in our world today. They would definitely be happening in the sci-fi 2200, especially if you're not playing with text generation and some technology is progressing at an unrealistically, insanely fast pace. You would definitely expect supply crawlers, the ability to coordinate vast empires with less inefficiency on Earth, so base spam being less of a problem. And again, if you look at a map, say the US, people look at these zoomed out maps, away the biggest cities, but and I think a lot of gamers are like from Chicago, New York City, LA in the US, and their entire perspective, they never left these huge cities. There's so many tiny cities scattered across the American countryside. I've been to countless of them. Cities of 20,000, 50,000 people, all over the place. These would be like size 1 or 2 bases in this game. They exist. They're there and economically important, even if a lot of their resources are sent to the big cities. What would be like supply cars convoying food and minerals and such to bigger bases here for efficiency. It's actually more efficient to do that, if not for the unit limit on crawlers, which excuse me, I've spent a lot of time. I mean, think about eventually the very late game, there's Sally spam. But thinking about whether it's freshwater sea, if one were to start on it, it could be useful, especially in the expansion to aqua farm and to have kelp farms with the aqua farm improvement and tidal harnesses with the thermocline transducer improvement. But yeah, in the very longest run, condensers. Condenser spam will allow you to have more pops, which more satellites, and that's pretty much always. I mean, especially the Peacekeepers, we only get so many bureaucracy drones. So if you have a real large base, you might even have some pops that don't start as super drones, even at very high levels of bureaucracy. Yeah, this game though was progressed very slowly. When I do Thinker mod Alien Crossfire, the ability to pop boom with planned democracy makes. I didn't realize how much slower this would be. Text Nation makes Text Nation not that slow at all. At least in my previous games as the Peacekeepers or the free drones, but especially the Peacekeepers. They progress extremely quickly through the early game with the ability to pop boom so easily, especially if they grab the Human Genome Project and the Weather Paradigm. Those are my favorite wonders to grab, my favorite secret projects. And if I do a Thinker mod, the AI would be better in terraforming and discover, therefore, more text themselves, because they'll be more productive, which means they'll trade, which means the game will progress even faster. I might even consider raising the base tech cost on top of text stagnation a small amount, like 5 to 20%, somewhere in that range. Because otherwise, tech stagnation won't even feel like tech stagnation, which is supposed to be a more realistic rate of scientific progress, honestly. But for the base game, this maybe is even a little slow. It's like 10 to 15 years for most early techs, but the time gets shorter as you advance. Which, I mean, on our own planet, breakthroughs this big probably come every 50 years, so it's still really fast. Anyhow. Spend a little time thinking of what to do with this former. Probably another forest here. Makes the most sense. After which I might go, not there. Here. That's flat moist. That was rolling. I might go the rolling rainy tile and dig it out. Put a condenser farm there. Just as there's one there. Think about this stuff sometimes off camera and I even forget what I had planned, so I apologize. My long COVID, I don't have the presence of mind. Give me a second to try and recall what I was thinking. Yep, that's what I want to go with, but I did review, there's going to be some rearrangement of that condenser and this mine being handed off soon-ish. Basically, this base is going to switch from this to a forest. Run down the nutrient stockpile to empty. Next turn, Mountain Command's going to take over the mine there so that it fills its growth queue. And then it's going to swap to this, which should be complete, you'll see. Huh. I should hunt for worms in this stretch of river. Oh no, this is more efficient in the long run. Planting a forest. And this is gonna patrol on this stretch of river. Go here since it's close to the World Food Program if repairs are needed. All right. Road there. That'll allow next turn the road finishes and a former goes to help with this condenser. It has 4 turns to go to get on it, so just 2 more turns where that condenser won't be available. I can swap stuff around, try and grow Mountain Command quicker so it's no longer stagnated in mineral production, and pave the way for democracy, for free men to walk the broad streets of Peacekeeper territory. I got that scout patrol. Just gonna stop by monitoring agency. Fun. I do believe I had looking at this, showing 10 overflow. How did I get 10 overflow when I had 9? 9 minerals production. Last turn, when I had originally planned on 11, I should have had all but 1 done, and then the size of the queue would have been reduced by 2. So maybe, even though it looked that there was 2 minerals over, it was 1 over. And yeah, I got the full 10. In which case, nothing went to waste. Cool. Very cool. That was making a mistake. Or I'd made a mistake, but maybe I hadn't. What? Why did this fail to move there? Oh, it's a slow probe team, not a... 1, 2, 3. Okay. Whoops. I forgot. I started producing slower probe teams. A couple of them there. Let's save and see what I get.
Data pod recovered.
Huh. Useless. Calm wake frequency for Yang. Since the Gaians were going to do the empath guild. That is completely worthless. Well and truly worthless.
Pod recovered.
And 50 energy.
Complete.
Fun. Maybe I should have waited a turn to do that. Sort of unipod, you never know if it's going to have an Isle of the Deep. Oh, do this next. Alright, then. Guess this means I'm contacting Yang. I guess that adds a little spice to this video, beyond my little recounting of Salvador Allende's final speech. Brave man, a hero to those who wish for human beings to live with dignity, respect, and not be to just horrendously abused by imperialists and corporate pigs. Maybe someday is his legacy be better honored. When the United States inevitably collapses on itself. Because the contradictions of empire were growing too great, and now, you have Trump and the fascists barreling things towards a civil war, most likely. I don't want it that to happen. I'm just saying that's where things appear to be going. Who knows? By the time this video posts, maybe things will be very different. I doubt it, but it's like a 3-month buffer now, which is good because eventually I'll get burned out on this and I'll have to take a couple months away from it. And I have some subscribers who watch all my videos regardless of playlists, so spreading stuff out, loading it more in the future increases the chances they'll see everything I do. Even if they maybe don't end up having interest in some of the, I should say watch multiple of my playlists. If they don't end up having interest in some of the newer series I do further down the line. And having people watch more of my stuff obviously helps the YouTube algorithm, so. Alright. 13 energy credits for 6 minerals. The benefits of planned economy are pretty nice. Quicker rushing. And I am going to probably do the free drones when I do my thinker. I could do Peacekeepers. I really like the Peacekeepers as well, but I guess this kind of goes along with my being a democratic socialist. I have real respect for some of the more humanitarian aspects of what WAL stands for, although we can be hypocritical at times, like many liberals. But and obviously the Marxist ideas of the free drones. Um, combine those as best possible, like Salvador Allende tried to do. Good things, but it would be too, I think, samey to play the same faction two series this game in a row. So you get to see free drones, and they play somewhat differently. The lack of all the free talents at the beginning means you don't invest as heavily in food production. Also, you're not getting double council votes for each pop. So you tend to go wider instead of taller. Peacekeepers have a taller game than the drones. Actually, the Peacekeepers have the ultimate specialist economy, assuming you're not completely automating everything with supply callers, because their extra talents per pop means that before you start adding, well, bureaucracy doing space number of bases, it means that the effective site costs of each pop are 1.5 energy instead of 2, which really helps with making specialists more viable, especially early on. So you invest in food with the Peacekeepers, you get the planetary governorship. Later on, you get lots of engineers when you discover fusion power, and then you're kind of set. The drones, they need to go much more hard on industrial development, more thermal boreholes, more forests, more mines. They need to grow wide. They need to steal their techs with probes because of the research debuff, although they can eventually take values knowledge to get rid of that. Effectively, in fact, it's more worthwhile for them than a faction like the university with a research buff, because 20% extra research on 1.2x research speed with the university, that's 1/6 extra research. 20% extra research on a faction with minus 20% like the free drones, that's an extra 25% to your research. It's, relatively speaking, a much bigger boost, and helps ensure that they're not discovering techs late when they can't trade them. So a good late game economy with the drones. Also, the higher efficiency ones, more bases, whereas the Peacekeepers have incentive to not do as many bases because of their low efficiency rating. A good late game economy for the drones might be planned democratic knowledge. So you have better than neutral efficiency. You have no research debuff anymore. And you do suffer probe rating loss. It really helps if you get the hunter-seeker algorithm, but you're probably building a bunch of probe teams earlier anyways. To steal techs, you have lots of veteran probe teams to defend against enemies, so it's not actually that bad for them. There are a lot of ways to play them. If you go knowledge, you can lean really heavy into the industry buff. If you go wealth instead of knowledge for their values, or power and just conquer using their industry. Conquer, although I'm pretty sure they make better conquerors with wealth value than power. Let's see. Right now there's 8 minerals in that, 9, so there's already 9 minerals. I could just go all in on this. 3, 7, 4, 8. 2 energy, 2 minerals versus 3 nutrients. I'm pretty sure it techs. Either way, it's going to be 2 turns the next tech, so probably the lab point is lost. So, given a choice between 1 energy credit and 2 minerals, or 2 nutrients, I'd probably choose 2 nutrients. Especially because this way, I run a nutrient deficit and I actually have to make it up later. Or lose a pop. Just build up the storage, which will provide protection against famine in the short run, the long run. Help me to eventually get this up to size 9. Space is a size 7 right now. And yeah.
Request confirmation.
19 energy for 8 minerals. Let's go. Tempted not to contact Yang immediately because he might have secrets of the human brain and want to offer me that tech. I'll probably get better options if I wait 2 turns to contact him. So I'll save. This could be a huge mistake, but I don't think he'll contact me. He doesn't know I have his comm link, right? Mood solicitous. Politics. Police state. He's not going to actively be annoyed at me until I run democracy, so I don't think things are going to get worse for a bit. And attitude mood tends to reset over time, so if I make him happy tech trades now, I'll lose some of that value. I want to make him happy right before I start upsetting him. 30 planetary council votes. Oh yeah, so he's personality aggressive also. If you randomize personalities, you can have like a pacifist Miriam or something. Yeah, he's got almost twice the pops of Miriam. It makes sense that he's competing with Deidre for the number 3 slot. Me and Sparta are neck and neck for the top spot. And Deidre and Yang are competing for slot number 3. The university is just like a little behind those two for the most part. Number 5 in the ranking, or sometimes it's ahead of them. It's around them. And then you have the bottom 2, Miriam and Morgan, who've been in a war probably since very early, which is why they're so underdeveloped, especially Morgan. He has very poor morale, and he got not a great starting location unless you can invest heavily in terraforming to clear out all this fungus. So I suspect what happened with Morgan is he got an early war with Miriam. He had to invest heavily in military units to not die, and his growth has been stagnant. Whereas Miriam has a slow start, and she didn't do Centauri ecology early, which sucks for her. If I could have redone this, I would have installed the official Fire Axis patch, which would have put the borehole cluster manifold nexus on the NAP. Then Kyrup's patch, AI improvements, then science patch. I don't know if that would have overridden all the AI improvements. If they're all in the EXE, it would have. But if they're not, then maybe it would have preserved some. And then I guess Yitzi's patch, which shouldn't apply to the base game, but if it does somehow do any fixes over and above science, it's good to have. And then finally the Thinker mod, which shouldn't affect the base game either. But again, if it fixes some other files, it wouldn't have hurt. Maybe I wouldn't have bothered with Thinker yet, but it was overwhelming trying to figure out what to do with all the community patches and such. So I missed some stuff. I guess the good old games version had the advantage of already having the official Fire Axis patch already installed. I think Science is already 2.1. The unofficial community patch comes pre-installed on it too. So that's a huge advantage. Oh yeah, I wanted to take a quick look at World Food Program. Next up, they're growing to size 8. They're already got a golden age, but they're going to lose that. But democracy is going to cancel that effect, so 48 nutrients to grow. For sure. I wanted to do the forest there. I think I could do this in 7 turns. If I wanted to grow in 6, I'd only be 1 mineral behind. Yeah, I think so that could hurry that former right away. Okay, that's good. So nothing to change the World Food Program. World Health Organization is also good. Alluvial Council is going to grow nice and quickly. It's going to get up to size 3. It should be able to, with the terraforming that's around it. 7, 9, 11, 12. It should be able to reach at least size 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sustainably, without any more farms. And it will get +1 nutrients, slowly advance towards size 7. Civil rights agency is going to grow, so I need to check back on civil rights and world food next turn. And forest agency. Cool. Wait, why is Hydrology Council doing that? If I take 6 off, and this is when I get democracy, then it still has 4 to grow. Oh, this is so I can get the former right away. Because it might be 3 turns to democracy. Somewhere around there. It's a reasonable estimate. 1, 2, yeah, because Oceans needs to grow before I swap into democracy so that it has the minerals to not lose the unit it's supporting. Actually, their Ocean Institute thing's going to do that, but Mountain Command has the same growth timeline. 3 turns, so yeah, 3 turns. Well, it's actually going to be on turn 4, but 3 more turns of not having democracy to produce 4 nutrients. Yep, so 1, 1, and 2. Okay, perfect. Forest Agency, World Food Program, and Civil Rights Agency. Forest expands. Oh, and I actually saw where it happened, right there. Alright, Rover's achieved hardened status.
Production complete.
Nice, and another former unit.
Request
Expensive as heck to hurry, because apparently it's not number of rows. It's you need 10 minerals to not have the cost be high. And these are hardened formers, you can see by the edge of the...
Production complete.
Maritime Command has produced a successful laser foil prototype. Production cost reduced to 18 minerals. 1 M left.
Golden Age begun. Instead of a slow probe team. Yeah, no, there can be down to 1 mineral. So yeah, I do need that. Production complete.
Another slow probe team and into formers. Okay, the base has grown and they're working at forest. Should do this. I think it's exactly the same energy and more nutrients. Growing towards size 5. They don't have Golden Age, so it'll be 30 nutrients. They have 3, so 27 to acquire. This will take them 3 over. So they might do a little swapping of the mine into a forest at some point. At some point, I could do it right now, actually. Why not get the lab points early? Oh, because it's going to go to waste. Overflow, what am I saying? After I get the tech. Okay.
Production complete.
Probe teams. The end of the Golden Age, because there's now a drone here, as I talked about. Basically all the way to size 9. And end up with 4 talents, 3 drones, and 2 workers. Yep, that's correct. Facilities, then police, yeah. And then secret projects. Producing no energy. 8 of 8 in efficiency. Ah. Well, you can work a condenser then. Given a choice between 1 nutrient and 2 minerals, or 3 nutrients, I'll take the 3 nutrients. 7 of 40, they have 41 nutrients to go. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I'm gonna want to do this for the same reason. Oh, wait. That gets them a shortage. Yeah, they have to work a farm. Fun. So much inefficiency. It'll be get better once I have democracy. And children's creches help too. Let's see. Rolling arid. Now it's a forest. Cool. I mean, it's next to a rolling moist, so probably eventually. Condenser. But not necessarily immediately. I could put some on flat tiles, hoping the forests overgrow. I'll figure it out. Golden Age, but everything goes in efficiency. Stops the growth. Boom. Boom. Also, mineworm there. Probably want to take a nutrients first approach. Case of like fence their herd food production or something. No, that would just move it. Neutral food production. Righty then. I don't know. They're fine with the forest, I suppose. Alright, what were the 3 bases? Forest agency, civil rights. Well, food. Civil rights agency has 2 drones. 2. No point using police to reduce them. It's not going to get gold mage anymore. 33 nutrients to go. 6 times 6. Once I get democracy, so... Alright, 36 nutrients to grow, so 33 left. Yep. So it's already 12 turns to grow. Currently. Could do that. Or that. Who's working that, mine there? Right. Boom. And then they need 2 nutrients next turn. Give me a sec. Alright, sorry. Need a sec to think, and also I get slightly overheated with temperatures here. So I want more minerals here. Civil Rights Agency, because eventually this is going to have 2 mineral surplus and 1. I'm going to want to maybe swap to working this mine at UN headquarters, or actually maybe not, because it doesn't ever have an efficiency.
Request confirmation.
So I'm definitely hurrying that. It's going to be a struggle to get in, I think, 3 turns, and then they're going to be down. Want to make sure I get to the point where I can rush that former unit. Get it done. Right to then. They can work that sensor instead here. Because in two turns of this, then there'll be a 4, and then suddenly they'll be producing +3 minerals. No. Shoot. Okay, never mind. Just work the solar panel, even though I can't get anything. Yeah, because I'm going to switch in democracy in 3 turns. I need this. All right. Yep. Mine assignments to figure out. Mines. Mine like M-I-N-E. Mine's M-I-N-E-S. Right. Oh yeah, by Ocean Institute. Well, we'll get that. So there's a condenser there. Part of the advantage of raising the terrain is any tile except this one can have a borehole. You can't have them adjacent to each other, but eventually I can do a borehole here, a borehole. Well, actually a base here probably. I could also put bases in the corners, so it might actually be base. That's rolling borehole, or borehole base. That's another possibility. Yeah, so the new terrain I raised up allowed for at least 1 more borehole, possibly 2 more to be fit on this little area. Long-term thinking. Whereas the rolling stuff is all condensers or solar panels, but the flat terrain will be boreholes. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have solar, echelon, Meier. This is only moist though. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a condenser here, so it'll be rainy eventually. Where's this? I'll have 2 condensers next to it. Cool. Now this next to a tile that might have a borehole for a while, but might eventually get placed. I mean, might have a forest for a while, but eventually get placed in a borehole. At some point I could supply car, or I could raise the terrain again. Iffy about that. If I think I want to raise it here. and I probably don't even want to do that. So, yeah, this is probably an early candidate for a supply crawler. They'll work 4 nutrients for oceans too. Unless I'm lucky enough for a forest to grow in there, and then it can be a condenser forest. Increasing rainfall in neighboring tiles where I need it, but also giving forest yields. And eventually giving an extra nutrient when I get tree farms versus a normal forest. So that's where the mine worm from there went, I think. Instead of... That one's dead. One moment. Yep, here we go. Boom. Boom. Wait, who's working all those forests? Not... Oh, Maritime Command. Don't have enough bloody force? Is that for real? I could just do this to avoid starvation, but it's not good yields. Or that, rather. This kind of sucks. Shoot. Need that nutrient. Need those minerals too, or the base will lose the unit supporting. Yeah, I clearly didn't build enough terraformers in the past. Now Defense Command is suffering for it, from it for a turn. Can't think of any quick ways to rearrange things that might fix this. Except... Ooh. Ah. Special. It's like a 1 nutrient tile, though. Oh. Plus 2 nutrients, now I need 1. So that's good, and... Geo's Oasis is like a 2-2 tile. For this... No, then they don't grow. Shoot. Shoot. Alright. These are large enough for proper specialists either. Looks like this is what I'm doing. Alrighty. Rolling rainy farm condenser. I do wonder if I could dig a river from mountain command. And where it would go? Would it go through defense command or would it go... It should go as the lowest elevation tile. It's adjacent. Yeah, so it would go through this condenser tile. Giving planetary trust an extra energy. Which currently useless. Yep. I think I just need to go into this fungus. It's next to base, so it's not supposed to be able to trigger mine worms, but you never know with this game.
Terraform complete.
Oh, that might change something. No, it just increases rainfall and these flat tiles. Mostly useless. Creates a one nutrient tile. Not useful yet. Someday useful. Made this tile rainy, though. Someday useful for could end up as a forced condenser, but allows the solar panel on the top of the hill, or, well, I mean, I'll put a solar panel here, probably, to produce more energy someday. I mean, more nutrients someday. Righty then. Jump mountain command sustain itself at size 5, because it's going to lose that mine eventually. It's going to be a long time, but with gene splicing. Alrighty then. Condenser and a flat rainy tile. Oh, that's for the new. Could do this, but then when I rush the condenser, it would actually need one mineral. I mean, when I rush the former, that would screw me. I should have to swap to the force once I go to democracy. Over here just to have enough minerals to sustain everything. But by then I'll have enough efficiency to get the energy from it. Right.
Request confirmation.
Rush that former. Figure out what to do with this one. Alright, this took a second, but boom. I'm gonna do forest here, farm mine here, borehole here, another forest here. Both the forests are eventually on base sites, but forests can spread out of base tiles that forest. I've seen this before. Unless that's only an alien crossfire, I doubt it. Besides, the actual base tile won't be go down for a little bit, so there's some time for the forest to spread, push on the xenofungus. And if I have the form returns, I can turn them into farms right before a base if I really want for some minerals back, but yeah, that's not, it doesn't make sense to plant, and then unplant, I'll just leave the forest, because all these rolling tiles would be farms, so otherwise I have nowhere else the forest can spread in the condensers and the fungus from. Yep. Oh yeah, I should do a road before forest there, because forests make roads slower, so road, then forest, then farm mine, borehole, because I'm going to be putting a base at the end of the road there. Or I could just skip the forest and go road, farm mine, borehole, and ignore the forest. To think about, but either way, that road should be the first thing I do, since it helps my units control this area. Need a base name for that tile, though. One moment. Sorry about that. Family member I stay with because I'm disabled, full on COVID, unable to work. Came home. This person was in full-on bitch mode, being nasty to me for asking a simple question, showing concern for their welfare. By the way, in case some of you are wondering, I'm gonna probably get right-wing prigs. Oh, you're ungrateful or something. No, this person does not financially support me. I actually financially contribute to them and receive nothing in return but air quote free housing. Expected to do a lot of things to help out, and despite my very low energy. And this person had rented before and hated renting, so it decided they'd never gonna do it before again. So there's no lost money, no added expenses. In fact, I contribute to a number of things like food stamps, food that sometimes gets shared, and I mean, it's supposed to be primarily for me. Also, financial assistance I get from the state, I'm allowed to contribute to like kind of a rent cost. So technically I'm paying a very low rent and I get treated by shit, to the point where I simply ask how this person is doing. They're happy that yesterday and today they're not, and asked what happened, and they snapped at me or nasty to me and said there was nothing, and this is always in reality, I think it's part of the abuse cycle with this person. Yesterday they were vicious in the morning, then they were happy in that evening, probably because they'd gotten to be nasty to me in the morning when I had done nothing to them and been very polite. And so and the way they were happy was actually noxious. They're like dancing with their hands in my face and being claiming it's just because they're so happy, but honestly it was a form of minor physical aggression. And now today, because they miss me in the mornings, and now they're just getting out their control, their viciousness in the evening. This is the stuff I have to deal with because our society doesn't do anything to support disabled people. And that gave me an idea for this landmark, for the name of the new base. UN Disability Services. Yes, some of that could be described by civil rights. For sure. I don't like the way that overlaps those things, but I'll get rid of it soon. That's just more pressure to get this colony pod done soon. There we go. Another colony pod right after that one. But there's a lot of unique needs disabled people have, and it's easy for them to get overlooked in favor of, dealing with things like racism, sexism. Like in the US today, everyone's focused on how Trump's coming after transgender people, how he's doing things that are hurting racial minorities, how he's affecting the elderly. There's very little talk about how Medicaid and food stamps, which is heavily in the budget for, and by the time this is live in September, probably has cut it months back, heavily affects the disabled, even while there's supposedly carve-outs for not removing people from Medicaid on Medicaid from if they're disabled. The reporting mechanisms will effectively probably make it too onerous. A lot of people will not be able to keep up and will be off Medicaid, and that's in addition to overall budget cuts, which will force reduced payouts to physicians, which are already too low for Medicaid, and lead to substandard care. So, yeah, a lot of shittiness there from a shitty person. Not surprising. Not surprising at all. I could do a farm mine there with those formers, and I could have hurried that scout patrol back. But actually, given the urgency of getting these bases online quickly and a Thorn borehole being so valuable, and all I'm going to get for the effort on that tile is one extra mineral. Useful, but not... Well, that would allow me to not have to work the forest, so it's effectively an extra nutrient and energy instead. I mean, an extra nutrient. Well, the cost of energy. Interesting. Oh, very interesting. But I think I don't want to have all these formers in that tile at the same time. Plus stacking means collateral damage is always worse. So, boom. Boom. Defend with a disciplined scout patrol because the hardened ones are better off exploring a little further afield, I suppose, or exploring? No. What am I doing here? There's a recon over there. Get a road done there. Followed by a forest. Eventually there'll probably be another base on that tile, though not nearly as soon as the other one. That is conveniently located where it can access 4 rolling tiles, 3 moist and 1 rainy. I guess I'd want to double stack these if my worm attacks. Or no, because this one can attack it. We need to be able to attack this one tile. Okay, boom. Scout patrol there, kind of a reserve. I can head west to defend this former. Defend former is preferential to bases a lot of the time because if a former gets attacked and killed, then the mine will come for the base next. I said this base is getting large, and the cost of placing a pop. Yeah, at this point I actually might want to defend a size 7 base with the scout patrol, which I got one there. Excuse me. Oh, farm first, because if I did a mine, it would just be strictly inferior to forest anyhow. Righty then. Space is going to have no nutrient surplus and may temporarily have to work a forest before going back to this tile. And indeed, growing size 8 times 6, 48. 7, 41. It's about to grow 9, 32. Yeah. I suppose I could run the forest and not lose nutrients, maybe. We'll see. Things work out. I know. No mind worms. Boom. Excuse me. Boom. And it failed. That's maybe for the best. Alright. Just save here in case I screw something up, especially because I'm stressed. Toxic treatment I received. Two-thirds, one-thirds, back. Cool. Yep, 5/9 chance of finding a mine worm each turn per rover, so it should happen quite often. The odds have not been in my favor. May the odds ever be in your favor. That they have not been. Right. Road complete. Condenser work continued. Next turn will be ready. And I can give it to mountain command or something. No point in working that sensor array. Cause slight more eco damage if something goes awry. Flat tile with sensor, flat tile without kind of thing. Right. I was positive there's something here with skipping turn or something. Or on and off sentry. How do I make the... There we go. Although, just wanted to test that. It's probably actually better I go here in case something to see with an isle to deep off the coast or such. Alrighty then. Laser foil. Oh yeah, let's see what the upgrade cost. 40 energy to upgrade. Really? Pretty sure the marginal difference is 1 mineral row. 1 level of armor, 1 mineral row. 40 energy for 10 minerals. That's not worth it. I shoot for 9 while I'm planned. Maybe trans APCs will be built. Eventually. The transports did serve an economic purpose. It may have been a better strategy to build them like this, and I just probably should guard them with plasma sentinels instead of giving them armor if it's that expensive to upgrade. Better build cheaper ones though and do more hauling of formers in peace time, that kind of stuff. Anyways, transports head here. Where is that artifact? Here. Right. There's a mineworm boil here, which I guess can't cross the ocean, thankfully. Go here next turn. Can move through fungus, so I don't want a unit here or I'd get hit by the mineworms. Boom. This is healing. This is healed. Base is about to grow. It's not gonna get any econ. Don't actually need that golden age. So boom. Scout patrol ready to fight mineworms. looks like, yeah, where the mineworm chose to go. I probably want to do that. 2 scout patrols there. Just gonna skip a turn to heal. Very little chance that the mineworm devastates both the scout patrols. They both attack it. Hey, scout patrol's the most efficient thing to attack mineworms usually. It's just a matter of they have a harder time finding them. All right. This video is getting kind of longer, so I'm probably going to cut it too. I guess folks will see it. I'm thinking maybe plans for more bases and then contacting Ying, because I'll probably do that before I cut the stream. Be preferable if I would just cut the video on my own, but I lose track of time a lot. No one COVID. It just happens.
Indigenous life forms.
There's a mineworm. Worst case, can't move after this. But attack it with the scout patrol. Cheaper to place. Scout patrol has performed admirably and is now achieved hardened status. Nice. Now I'll have to trudge back to the base, but I'm sorry. So it's way back to Luvial Council to heal. Next turn, I might have the transport move out here and pick up this recon rover. Get it healed faster. The one that's in Luvial Council. That transport. Don't remember to do that. And headquarters. Yeah, they're about to hurry this. That'll bring down to 2 mineral surplus. Democracy will bring down to 1. The space is producing minerals nicely on the other hand. Maybe I want to support this recon rover from here. Yeah, because whether it's 3 or 4 mineral surplus, rather 2, 4. No, and then it would be down to 2 this turn, and 3, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. All right, enough want the calling pod in reasonable time. Keep trolling for mineworms. Designate defender here.
Terraform complete.
Rather lose disciplined rover that's at full health. Has a better chance of surviving than a hardened one at half, which probably wouldn't be selected as defender anyhow, but this way I can be sure it won't. On their hand. Forest minerals to forest agency. That's from that. In 2 more turns, I'll have even more. So I can consider hurrying the colony pod only on the final row, maybe? Or close to when I have 10 minerals to go. Consider is the key word. Yeah. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only do 4 trawling of versus 2. So 1 trawling, 2 trawling, 3. Yeah, it should stay where it is. Unless I want it to end its turn fungus, which I really don't. Team make its way. Our agency is about to grow.